In the blink of an eye, 4 billion years unfold. The Earth's timeline and epic history. The Quickening introduction. We ended part one of our journey, planetfall, with a world transformed. The violent birth pangs of our planet had subsided. Oceans, vast and primordial, stretched across a globe dotted with the first barren continents. The Earth had taken shape, a stage set for the next act in its epic history. But something profound was about to happen. A fundamental shift that would forever alter the destiny of our planet. From the inanimate matter of those early oceans, something extraordinary emerged. Life. This is part 2 of the Earth's timeline, an epic history, and we call it the Quickening. Over the course of planetfall, we witnessed the cosmic origins of Earth, the fiery heat of its infancy, the dramatic formation of the Moon, and the arrival of the life-giving oceans. We saw the first continents rise from the waters, a new landscape taking hold. But even with oceans teeming and land emerging, something vital was missing. The world was awake, but not yet truly alive. The question of how life arose from non-living matter is one of the most profound and enduring mysteries in science. How did simple molecules come together to form the first self-replicating cells? What were the conditions on early Earth that made this incredible leap possible? These are the questions that will guide us through the Quickening. This transition from a purely geological world to a biological one was a turning point of immense significance. It marked the beginning of a new era where life itself would become a major force shaping the planet. The very air we breathe, the ground beneath our feet, the oceans that cover most of our world. All have been profoundly influenced by the life that first stirred in those ancient seas. Over the next 4 chapters, we will delve into this remarkable period. We'll explore the earliest forms of life, the bacteria and archaea that dominated our planet for billions of years. We'll witness the revolutionary rise of oxygen, a byproduct of early life that would ultimately pave the way for more complex organisms. We'll examine the evolution of eukaryotic cells, the building blocks of all plant and animal life, and we'll even encounter periods of global glaciation, the dramatic snowball Earth events, and consider their impact on the burgeoning life on our planet. The Quickening is the story of life's first tentative steps, its incredible resilience and its profound impact on the young Earth. It is the story of how our planet truly came alive. Join us as we embark on this next chapter in the epic history of our world. In the Quickening, we embark on the most profound journey of all, the emergence of life on our planet. The early Earth, with its vast oceans and nascent continents, was a world ripe with potential. But how did life, in all its complexity, arise from the simple chemical ingredients present in those primordial seas? This is the enigma we explore in Chapter 5, The Origin of Life. Unraveling the mystery of life's origin is one of the greatest challenges in science. We're peering back billions of years to a time before fossils were readily formed, before complex biological structures existed. Direct evidence from this period is incredibly scarce. Instead, scientists piece together clues from chemistry, geology, and our understanding of modern biology to formulate theories, educated guesses about how life might have first sparked into existence. The fundamental idea is called abiogenesis, life arising from non-living matter. This wasn't a sudden event, but likely a gradual process involving several key steps. First, simple inorganic molecules present in the early Earth's environment needed to combine to form more complex organic molecules, the building blocks of life such as amino acids and nucleotides. Second, these organic molecules needed to self-assemble into larger structures capable of self-replication, making copies of themselves. This is a crucial characteristic of life. And third, these self-replicating structures likely needed to be enclosed within some kind of membrane, creating the first primitive cells, separating their internal environment from the outside world. So, where on early Earth could these steps have taken place? One compelling hypothesis points to hydrothermal vents fissures on the ocean floor that release geothermally heated, chemically rich fluids from the Earth's interior. These vents provide a unique environment with a ready supply of energy and the necessary chemical ingredients for life to potentially arise. The mineral-rich waters around these vents could have acted as catalysts, speeding up the chemical reactions needed to form organic molecules. The temperature gradients and the compartmentalized nature of the vent structures might have also provided ideal conditions for the assembly of more complex structures and the development of early membranes. Another prominent idea focuses on the early Earth's surface. In this primordial soup theory, organic molecules could have formed in shallow pools of water, energized by lightning strikes or the intense ultraviolet radiation from the young sun, which wasn't yet filtered by an ozone layer. A famous experiment in the 1950s, the Miller-Urey experiment, provided some support for this idea. Scientists simulated the conditions of early Earth's atmosphere and subjected it to electrical sparks. Remarkably, they found that amino acids, the building blocks of proteins, could spontaneously form under these conditions. More recently, the RNA world hypothesis has gained significant traction. This theory proposes that RNA, a molecule similar to DNA but simpler, might have been the primary genetic material in early life. RNA can not only store genetic information but also act as an enzyme, catalyzing chemical reactions. This dual role could have simplified the early steps of life's origin. There's also the intriguing idea of panspermia, the possibility that some of the building blocks of life, or even very simple forms of life itself, originated elsewhere in the cosmos and were transported to Earth by meteorites or comets. While this doesn't explain the ultimate origin of life, it suggests that the ingredients might have had a cosmic head start. The truth is, we don't yet have a definitive answer to how life began. The origin of life remains one of the most challenging and exciting frontiers of scientific research. It's likely that a combination of these different environments and processes played a role in this extraordinary event. What we do know is that life did arise on Earth relatively early in its history, within the first billion years. This suggests that the conditions on early Earth were conducive to the formation of life. And perhaps the process wasn't as improbable as it might seem. The emergence of the first self-replicating entities, however they arose, marked a monumental turning point in our planet's story. It was the dawn of the biosphere, the beginning of a biological revolution that would ultimately lead to the incredible diversity of life we see around us today. In our next chapter, we'll delve into the world of these early life forms, the bacteria that would go on to shape our planet in profound ways. In the previous chapter, we pondered the extraordinary mystery of life's origin. Now, in the bacterial world, we delve into the realm of the first inhabitants of our planet, the bacteria. For billions of years, these tiny, single-celled organisms reigned supreme, shaping the Earth in ways we are only beginning to fully understand. Bacteria are the simplest forms of life we know. Each one is a self-contained unit, a single cell lacking the complex internal structures found in more advanced life forms like plants and animals. Scientists classify them as prokaryotes, meaning before nucleus, because their genetic material isn't enclosed within a nucleus like in our own cells. Despite their apparent simplicity, bacteria are incredibly diverse and adaptable. Even today, they thrive in virtually every environment on Earth, from the deepest ocean trenches to the hottest volcanic springs, and even within our own bodies. Imagine the early Earth, a world with no plants, no animals, just a vast ocean teeming with these microscopic pioneers. The early bacterial world was likely very different from what we see today. The atmosphere contained very little, if any, free oxygen. As a result, the first bacteria were likely anaerobic, meaning they didn't require oxygen to survive, and in fact many would have been poisoned by it. They obtained energy from a variety of sources, perhaps by breaking down organic molecules that had formed abiotically, or by utilizing chemical reactions involving sulfur or methane. Then around 3.5 billion years ago, a revolutionary new type of bacteria emerged. The cyanobacteria, sometimes referred to as blue-green algae. These remarkable microbes developed the ability to harness the power of sunlight to produce energy through a process we know as photosynthesis. Photosynthesis was a game changer. These early cyanobacteria took in carbon dioxide and water and, using sunlight as their energy source, produced organic matter and released oxygen as a byproduct. This was the first significant source of oxygen on our planet, a waste product that would eventually transform the Earth's atmosphere and pave the way for the evolution of more complex oxygen-breathing life. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence for the existence of these early cyanobacteria comes in the form of structures called stromatolites. These layered, rock-like formations are created by the activity of microbial mats, primarily cyanobacteria, which trap sediment and precipitate minerals over time. Fossil stromatolites dating back billions of years provide a tangible record of this early life. The impact of these early bacteria on the planet was profound. As cyanobacteria thrived and multiplied, they steadily released oxygen into the oceans and eventually into the atmosphere. This gradual accumulation of oxygen, a period known as the Great Oxidation Event, was one of the most significant environmental shifts in Earth's history, a turning point we'll explore in more detail in the next chapter. While bacteria were the dominant form of life, they weren't the only single-celled organisms present in the early Earth. Another major domain of life, the archaea, also emerged during this period. Often found in extreme environments like hot springs and salty lakes, archaea are distinct from bacteria in their genetic makeup and biochemistry, representing a separate branch on the tree of life. For billions of years, the Earth was truly a bacterial world. These microscopic organisms were the primary drivers of biological activity, shaping the planet's chemistry and laying the foundation for all subsequent life. Their reign was long-stretching for over 3 billion years, a testament to their remarkable adaptability and resilience. Even today, bacteria remain incredibly important. They play crucial roles in nutrient cycling, decomposition, and countless other ecological processes. They are a fundamental part of the web of life on our planet. The bacterial world was the first act in the grand drama of life on Earth, a period of slow but profound change that transformed our planet from a purely geological entity into a vibrant, living world. Join us in the next chapter as we explore the dramatic consequences of the oxygen produced by these early microbial pioneers. The coming of oxygen. In the bacterial world, life had found a foothold on our young planet. And in doing so, some microbes, the cyanobacteria, began to perform a remarkable feat: photosynthesis, using sunlight to create energy and releasing a gas as a byproduct, oxygen. But this seemingly life-giving gas was initially a poison to most of the life that existed at the time. This is the story of the dramatic rise of oxygen on Earth. For the early anaerobic bacteria, those that thrived in the absence of oxygen, this new gas was toxic. It was a waste product, a form of pollution that threatened their very existence. The oxygen produced by the cyanobacteria initially reacted with dissolved iron in the oceans, forming iron oxide, essentially rust, which then precipitated out and settled on the ocean floor. Over vast stretches of time, these layers of iron oxide accumulated, creating a unique geological record-banded iron formations, or BIFs. These distinctive rocks, with their alternating bands of iron-rich and silica-rich layers, are our primary evidence for the early production of oxygen in Earth's oceans, a process that continued for billions of years. Eventually, the oceans became saturated with oxygen. There was no more dissolved iron left to react with. This marked a critical turning point in Earth's history, a period known as the Great Oxidation Event, or GOE. Around 2.4 to 2 billion years ago, oxygen levels began to rise significantly in the atmosphere for the first time. The evidence for this atmospheric shift is compelling. After the period of extensive banded iron formation deposition, we see a decline in their formation. Simultaneously, new types of rocks, called red beds, began to appear on land. These red beds are sandstones and shales, stained red by iron oxides that formed in the presence of atmospheric oxygen. The Great Oxidation Event had profound and far-reaching consequences for life on Earth. For many of the anaerobic organisms that had dominated the planet for billions of years, the rise of oxygen was a catastrophic extinction event. They were ill-equipped to deal with this reactive gas, and many retreated to oxygen-poor environments where they still exist today. But for other organisms, the presence of oxygen presented a new opportunity. Some microbes evolved the ability to not only tolerate oxygen, but to actually use it in their metabolism. This process, called aerobic respiration, is far more efficient at producing energy than anaerobic processes. It allowed organisms to grow larger and become more active, paving the way for the evolution of more complex life forms. The increasing levels of oxygen in the atmosphere also led to another crucial development, the formation of the ozone layer. High in the atmosphere, oxygen molecules reacted with ultraviolet radiation from the sun to form ozone, O3. This ozone layer acted as a shield, absorbing much of the harmful UV radiation that had previously bombarded the Earth's surface, making it largely uninhabitable for life. With the protection of the ozone layer, the land surface was no longer as hostile. While it would still take a long time for life to fully colonize the land, the formation of the ozone layer was a critical step in that direction. The rise of oxygen also played a vital role in the evolution of more complex cells, the eukaryotes. These cells, with their internal compartments and a nucleus containing their genetic material, require significantly more energy than prokaryotic cells. Aerobic respiration, fueled by the increasing levels of oxygen, provided the necessary energy for this greater complexity to evolve. The coming of oxygen was a dramatic turning point in Earth's history, a period of both destruction and immense opportunity. It triggered a major extinction event, but it also laid the foundation for the evolution of all the complex life we see around us today, including ourselves. The legacy of the Great Oxidation Event continues to shape our planet. Oxygen remains a dominant component of our atmosphere, driving countless geological and biological processes. It is a testament to the profound and long-lasting impact of those early microscopic life forms. Join us in the next chapter as we explore the next major step in the evolution of life. The rise of the eukaryotes. The oxygen revolution had fundamentally altered our planet, creating an atmosphere ripe for new forms of life. And indeed, from this oxygen-rich environment emerged a new type of cell, one with a complexity far exceeding that of the bacteria and archaea that had dominated for billions of years. This is the story of the rise of the eukaryotes. For eons, life on Earth consisted solely of prokaryotes, simple single-celled organisms whose genetic material floated freely within the cell. But around 1.8 to 1.6 billion years ago, a new kind of cell appeared, the eukaryote. The name literally means true nucleus, and that's a key feature. Unlike prokaryotes, eukaryotic cells have their genetic material enclosed within a membrane-bound nucleus. But the nucleus isn't the only innovation. Eukaryotic cells also possess other specialized internal compartments called organelles, each performing specific functions within the cell. These include mitochondria, the powerhouses of the cell, responsible for energy production through aerobic respiration, and in plant cells, chloroplasts, which carry out photosynthesis. So how did these complex eukaryotic cells arise from their simpler prokaryotic ancestors? The leading scientific explanation is a remarkable process called endosymbiosis, a term that literally means living inside together. The theory proposes that early in Earth's history, a large prokaryotic cell engulfed a smaller prokaryotic cell. Instead of being digested, the smaller cell survived and established a symbiotic relationship with its host, meaning both cells benefited from the arrangement. Over vast stretches of time, these engulfed cells evolved into the organelles we see in eukaryotic cells today. For instance, it's believed that mitochondria, the energy-producing organelles found in almost all eukaryotic cells, originated from an ancient aerobic bacterium that was engulfed by another prokaryotic cell. Similarly, chloroplasts found in plant cells and algae are thought to have descended from an ancient photosynthetic cyanobacterium that was engulfed by a eukaryotic ancestor. The evidence supporting endosymbiosis is quite compelling. Both mitochondria and chloroplasts have their own small circular DNA, similar to that found in bacteria. They also have double membranes, the inner membrane likely belonging to the engulfed bacterium and the outer membrane derived from the engulfing cell. Furthermore, they can replicate independently within the eukaryotic cell. The rise of eukaryotic cells was a pivotal moment in the history of life. These larger, more complex cells had a greater capacity for specialization and could carry out more sophisticated functions. This opened the door for the evolution of multicellularity, the ability of cells to cooperate and form larger, more complex organisms. However, the evolution of eukaryotes wasn't a rapid process. While the Great Oxidation event provided the necessary oxygen for energy-intensive eukaryotic life, it took hundreds of millions of years for these complex cells to become established and diversify. The fossil record shows a significant gap between the rise of oxygen and the widespread appearance of diverse eukaryotes. Today, the eukaryotes represent a vast and diverse domain of life, encompassing everything from single-celled protists like amoeba and paramecium to fungi, plants, and of course animals, including ourselves. All share this common ancestor, a simple prokaryotic cell that embarked on an extraordinary evolutionary journey through endosymbiosis. The rise of the eukaryotes was a crucial stepping stone on the path to the complex biosphere we see today. It marked a significant increase in the complexity of life on Earth, setting the stage for the next dramatic chapter in our planet's history. A period of global upheaval that would test the resilience of even these more advanced cells. The era of snowball Earth. Join us next time as we explore this dramatic period of global glaciation. The rise of eukaryotic life marked a significant step in the complexity of our planet's biosphere. But the Earth's journey is rarely a smooth upward climb. Around 720 to 635 million years ago, our planet plunged into a series of dramatic and extreme climate events, periods so cold that the entire globe may have been encased in ice, even down to the equator. This is the era of snowball Earth. The snowball Earth hypothesis proposes that, on multiple occasions, the Earth's surface froze almost completely. Imagine a world where the familiar blue of the oceans is replaced by a blinding expanse of white ice, reflecting the sun's energy back into space. It's a scenario that seems almost unimaginable, yet the geological evidence suggests it really happened. One of the key pieces of evidence comes from the discovery of glacial deposits called tillites found in geological layers that would have been located at low latitudes, even near the equator, during these ancient ice ages. These rocks contain the telltale signs of being transported and deposited by massive ice sheets, suggesting that ice extended far beyond the polar regions. So, what could have triggered such a dramatic global cooling? Scientists believe a positive feedback loop may have been responsible. An initial period of cooling, perhaps due to changes in the Earth's tilt or solar activity, would have led to increased ice cover, particularly at the poles. Ice is much more reflective than land or water, a property we call albedo. As more ice formed, more sunlight was reflected back into space, leading to further cooling and even more ice formation. This runaway effect could have eventually plunged the entire planet into a deep freeze, a true snowball Earth. But if the Earth froze solid, how did it ever thaw? The key lies in the planet's internal engine volcanoes. Even during a snowball Earth event, volcanic eruptions would have continued to release carbon dioxide, a potent greenhouse gas, into the atmosphere. Normally, carbon dioxide is removed from the atmosphere through weathering of rocks and absorption by the oceans. However, with the land largely covered in ice and the oceans frozen, these processes would have been significantly slowed down. Over millions of years, the carbon dioxide released by volcanoes would have gradually built up in the atmosphere, trapping more and more heat. Eventually, the greenhouse effect would have become strong enough to melt the ice, leading to a dramatic and relatively rapid thawing of the planet. This escape from the snowball state would have been a period of intense environmental change. These extreme climate events may have had a profound impact on the evolution of life. The intense environmental pressures of a snowball Earth could have acted as a powerful selective force, potentially driving evolutionary innovation, particularly among the eukaryotes that had recently emerged. Some scientists believe that the diversification of multicellular life in the Cambrian explosion, which followed these ice ages, may have been partly triggered by the dramatic environmental changes associated with snowball Earth. The geological record suggests that there were likely multiple snowball Earth events in our planet's history, spanning tens of millions of years each. These were periods of extreme climate fluctuation, testing the limits of life on Earth. The story of snowball Earth is a stark reminder of the dynamic and sometimes volatile nature of our planet. It showcases the delicate balance of Earth's climate system and the powerful consequences of feedback loops. From a frozen wasteland to a world teeming with life, the Earth's journey continued its unpredictable path. Join us in part 3 of the Earth's timeline, an epic history, as we emerge from the ice ages and witness the spectacular flowering of life in the Cambrian explosion.